Hello, this is H.D. Chambers, Superintendent of Schools for Alief, and I'm hoping that everyone is enjoying a good day today. I know we're a good week into the 2021 year, and 21 has already been a continuation of 2020, it seems. This message is really singularly focused to our staff, and there's a couple of things I wanted to cover real briefly with you. The first has to do with the budget, the state finances, and what we might expect going into the 2021 legislative session, which actually begins Monday, January the 11th. So just a quick context. On Monday, January the 11th, the Texas Comptroller is going to provide the Texas Legislature with the revenue estimates that the Comptroller's Office is projecting to have over the next 2 years, the next biennium. So if you think about the biennium, it's going to be September 1st of 2021 through August 31st of 2023. It's 2 years. And by Texas law, by Texas Constitution, the state budget has to be within the amount of money the comptroller says they have to spend. So if the comptroller says you have $1 to spend, then the state cannot budget more than $1. So the number or the revenue estimate that the comptroller is going to give the legislature this coming Monday is a critically important piece of the pie as it relates to putting the pieces together to build our Texas budget. Obviously, that impacts public education. It impacts all things that the state of Texas supports financially through the state budget. And it's of particular interest to school systems because, considering where we are with what's transpired over the last 10 months or so, as well as the learning losses and the gaps that our children have experienced and continue to experience as a result of inconsistent education, whether it's remotely, in person, or students who have just not enrolled in school, as I've talked about multiple times. The amount of money that the state allocates to public education is going to be critical just for that one issue alone, and that is how do we make up the learning losses that have occurred? Because if you're a teacher, if you're a principal, if you're someone who works in the area of delivering instruction and helping students learn, master concepts, master things that are important to their future academic and social and emotional success. If we're going to do that, it's going to take time. We're not going to be able to resolve all the true impact that the pandemic has had on students in 1 year or 2 years, for that matter. I'm really worried about the next 3 to 5 years and how we are going to be able to strategically approach where our students are right now, academically, socially, emotionally. Now, back to the budget. The impact that the budget will have on us is tremendous. It could be so concerning that we don't get the resources, the money, the necessary resources to truly address those losses and learning gaps. If that's the case, then we're going to have to address that. And I say we, that's our school district and other school districts. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on the state to generate as much revenue as possible so that we do not experience a tremendous or a significant amount of cut in funding for the state of Texas, not just Alief. So as that conversation next Monday begins, I just wanted to lay out the process for you guys so that you understand what pressures are on the state, and as a result, what pressures are going to be passed along to local school districts. And we are right now, when I say we, Alief ISD right now, our number one priority related to money is attempting to make sure that the state of Texas holds us harmless, which is a fancy way of saying continue funding us this year, the 2021 school year, continue funding us as was projected based on our enrollment, staffing, etc. The reason we're asking for that is because our enrollment is down, as you know. It's down significantly, and as I've said in the past, that is a financial has a financial implication. For those of you that follow our board meetings, I have our financial team and our accounting team and myself. We have talked to the board on 2 occasions in a public setting about the potential losses and the impact and what we're attempting to do. But nevertheless, that is an issue that we are going to have to continue discussing and keeping an eye on as we move forward. So my message to everyone is that everyone's job is safe. There's no cuts, anything like that coming. But again, as I've mentioned before, we will have to address the possibility of budget cuts at the state level and the impact it might have on local school systems. If you want a real quick Texas school finance lesson, here it is. The state of Texas draws the state's revenue on 2 primary sources: sales tax and oil and gas severance tax, which is basically, because we're such a rich state in terms of oil and gas, the taxes that we pay and the taxes that are generated through our oil and gas industry in our state provides a significant amount of money to our state budget. The sales tax obviously is a transaction. When we buy certain goods, we pay sales tax on it. If either one of those 2 or both of those 2 revenue streams are impacted for any reason, it impacts the state budget, ultimately trickles down to impact us. And if it continues trickling, it impacts you and me as employees in a school system. So that's why we're closely anticipating and watching the comptroller provide what he's going to provide to the legislature Monday, and then we'll see what happens in the legislature. But I will keep you informed. And just please know the school board and myself and our school finance team, we are very aware, and we are actually a major part of the conversations that go on at the state level in terms of trying to just share what are consequences of certain actions, what are things that we believe are important. And I will be sharing much more information on this topic going forward, but I just want you to be aware of what's the next big step in this, and that is Monday's comptroller's announcement. So that's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is something that I have talked about ad nauseum, and but I wanted to update you, and I wanted you to hear from me as opposed to seeing an email. But many of you, specifically teachers and principals, are aware that Alief has been pursuing putting together a process so that we can include the Teacher Incentive Allotment, TIA, Teacher Incentive Allotment, into our salary structure. And for those who have not heard me talk about it, but I've talked about this to almost every campus at least once, maybe twice over the last year and a half or 2. This is an effort by the state of Texas and then by Alief ISD to identify ways in which to financially compensate our most effective teachers who get the best results, and put a significant amount of additional compensation into their annual pay to recognize them for their success. Obviously, there's a lot to unpack in what I just said, and that's what our Teacher Incentive Allotment Task Force has been doing for the last 18, 19 months. So our original plan was to have that prepared to begin going through the process during the 21-22 school year. But because of everything that has occurred, and because we do not want to do this in a rushed way or in a haphazard way or in an incomplete way, I have made the decision to delay the implementation of this for 1 year. And please know the reason that I'm delaying that is because of the reasons I just stated. Uh, there is too much inconsistent data on student performance. There is too much inconsistent data on teacher performance. There is too much inconsistent data on student attendance, on student assessment, on the assessment of teachers and the evaluation of teachers and the evaluation of leaders. So just that alone is enough to say or to convince me that we needed to pause, allow us to get back to some sense of consistency in schooling, and so that what we do is actually accurate. It is reflecting our quality teaching and quality teachers, and that the money, the amount of money that the state of Texas is allocating towards this compensation is 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 meaningful. So just know we're delaying it, and we had 7 pilot schools that we're going to start this coming year. They're aware that we're delaying it, and I hope everyone understands why. I'll be glad to answer any questions as to why. But the bottom line is we just feel it's if we're going to do this right, and we definitely want to do this right, we have to push pause for a little bit and make sure that we have accurate information. Now, push and pause doesn't mean we're stopping and then going to pick this up later. We're just slowing down our execution of going into agreement with the state of Texas and the funding component of it. We are going to continue building it and continue putting it together so that when we do implement it in a year, that it will be prepared and it will be very thoroughly thought out, very strategic, with tons and tons of input from teachers and others. So it doesn't mean the work stopping. It just means the movement towards actually being a part of the teacher incentive allotment is just being delayed by 1 year. So thank you. Appreciate everything you do, and stay safe.